Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, a parliamentary committee looking into the issue of the mounting NPAs has asked former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan to appear before it and brief on the matter. Parikshit Luthra joins us early this morning on the phone line with all those details. Hi Parikshit, good morning.
Morning, Nigel. Now, this is a development that was expected. Parliamentary panel members have been urging Mr. Murali Manohar Joshi to call Raghuram Rajan. This after Arvind Subramanian, the Chief Economic Advisor, the former CEA, briefed the panel and said that Mr. Raghuram Rajan had rightly identified the problem. So the panel wants to know what steps were taken at that time, what advice did he give the government in order to plug the crisis there and then, and what steps can now be taken to strengthen the supervision and monitoring mechanism of the RBI when it comes to the loan giving capacity of various banks. So it seems that his inputs have been sought. He has been asked to appear. When that happens, we'll get to know in a couple of days. But it seems that the parliamentary panel wants to sit with the Raghuram Rajan and get his inputs on the entire crisis in the banking sector in detail.
Okay, Parikshit, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that. Interesting to see what happens on this one. But let's move on, as lenders are accepting bids submitted after the deadline in the corporate insolvency resolution process for companies under NCLT. Kritika Saxena caught up with MS Sahu, the chairman of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board, and began by asking if the exceptions made in such cases is setting a bad precedent. Here's an excerpt.
Do not have exceptions in a large number of cases. Most of the matters are getting admitted well within the time. In fact, in the initial days of admission, there are several issues which require to be sorted out. For example, the extent of natural justice to be followed while admitting a matter. Or for example, whether the dispute, existence of a dispute just good enough, or is there enough merit in a dispute? All those have now been sorted out. So in the second matter about dispute, Honorable Supreme Court in Mobilox Kirswa matter told that it is enough that there is a pre-existing dispute. It need not be that the dispute will succeed. And it is not the job of adjudicating authority to apply mind whether dispute will succeed or not. If a dispute exists, it's good enough not to admit it. So one after another, these issues are getting sorted out. And once these issues are sorted out, no more these issues come on the way of admission. So that means one after another issues are getting resolved. And when all these issues are resolved, you will have rare cases which will require additional time. Simultaneously, the capacity of NCLT is also government increasing.
You know, taking from that point that you made, that the government is also working on enhancing the capacity of NCLT with the August 27th deadline now coming in for the February 12th circular of the RBI. Do you expect an influx of NCLT cases, and is the system prepared to handle that right now?
If you look at the data today, the number of cases admitted based on the application of the operational creditor is larger than the number of applications admitted by financial creditor. And of the financial creditor, it is not only the banks. So that means the system is today catering to the needs of all financial creditors, all operational creditors, and all corporate debtors. And note that when the law came into force, there was a backlog of cases. All those backlog have already come in. So I don't think that there will be a huge influx because of the deadline is coming. But it's possible that relatively cases with a bigger size may come in. But big size or small size for admission process, it does not make much a difference for NCLT. NCLT has to see whether there is a default. And that much, whether it is a 5,000 crore default or 5 lakh default, the effort on the part of NCLT is not different. So the high size, big size or big ticket case is not proportionately bigger burden on the NCLT.
Well, time for a short break then. Up next, people of Kerala heave a sigh of relief. The IMD withdraws the red alert from all 14 districts of the state. More details once we're back. Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Now, people of Kerala have heaved a sigh of relief after braving incessant rains, massive floods and landslides for over the past 2 weeks. There was some respite from rain though, and the IMD has withdrawn the red alert from all the 14 districts of the state. However, thousands are still stranded across the state, and more than 8.5 lakh people are in relief camps. Local authorities and armed forces have scaled up the relief and rescue operations. Tons of relief materials are being transported to Kerala and distributed across the state. Nearly 20,000 personnel of the Navy, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard and NDRF, they are working against time across the state, rescuing people and moving relief material to the camps. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan has requested the centre to release more funds.
Welcome back. Well, let's take a check of what's happening in the world of commodities. And Manisha Gupta, as always, is joining us with more. Manisha, good morning. The crude actually saw a 7th straight weekly decline. What's happening there?
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. You know, it is the global concerns and the weak demand estimates coming in, especially from Asia, which seem to be weighing onto the crude oil prices. We did see a 7th straight week of decline for the U.S. crude in the previous week. The Brent saw a fall of nearly 3% and the third weekly decline, and that's exactly how we've started in this week as well. It also has to do with the fact that you haven't seen the U.S. production, take a pause. That has been on the higher side. The markets also are looking at weak Chinese data. Chinese imports have been declining for 4 months now, and all of that seems to be weighing onto those markets. The only positive thing in the markets today is the U.S. dollar index, which seems to have taken a pause right now, still holding above 96, but we haven't seen newer highs being made into that, and that in some sense might support the metal prices. But crude clearly seems to be looking at different fundamentals, and we could see some more pressure continuing for that one.
Right, thanks so much for that, Manisha. Well, let's hop across to Mangalam. He's standing by to tell us what's going on in the derivatives market. Hey, Mangalam, morning.
Morning, Nigel. So, on Friday's trading session, when we managed to post a record close on the Nifty, the one thing that really stood out was the Nifty futures premium in a rising market came off to around 17.7, 17.8 points. That's telling you that, yes, there was some selling. After 5-6 days of selling in index futures, the FIIs went ahead and sold more in index futures to the tune of 695 crores. That means the futures longs, which were at around 57-58% at the start of the week, fell to about 52%. However, what was different on Friday is that the selling in index futures was more than made up by the purchase in stock futures of about 855 crores and the purchase in index options. Now, you and I have been talking about this data point for a very long time, that the FIIs are buying index puts. But come Friday, the 1,900 crore worth purchase in index options, most of them went to purchase of index calls. That's telling you that maybe the people are believing that upside opens up. So 22,000 long calls added, which compares with about just 7,000 long puts added. And the put call ratio is now around that 1.65 level, which is fairly comfortable, not overheated around the 1.7, 1.8 level that we are talking about. 11,400, 11,500, both these puts saw some writing. 11,500 call, which has the maximum open interest, saw some open interest shedding to the tune of about 9 lakh shares. And 11,600 call, which is available for about 38, 39 rupees a pop, maybe saw some punt buying out there. Individual stocks, the one that I'm watching out for is Raymond. It enters F&O band with big movement on Friday as well.
Okay, Mangalam, thank you so much for bringing us that setup from the derivative space. But with that, it is a wrap on Power Breakfast. We leave you with the picks of our bullseye contestants for the day one of the week. Don't go anywhere, Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.
My first call today is a buy call in Tata Chemicals, with stop loss below 674 for target of 760. My second pick is a buy call in L&T Finance Holdings, with stop loss below 172 for target of 201. My third pick is a buy call in Grasim, with stop loss below 994 for target around 1130. And my last call is a buy call in Glenmark Pharma, with stop loss below 577 for target around 627.
First call for today on the buy side is going to be AstraZen, and one can create long positions in this stock, keeping a stop loss of 1788 for the target of 1966. Next stock on the buy side is going to be India Bull Ventures, and one can buy this stock at CMP, keeping a stop loss of 751 and for the target of 826 on upside. Another call on the buy side is going to be L&T Technologies, And long positions can be created in L&T Technologies, keeping a stop loss of 1565 for the target of 1720. Final call on the buy side is going to be Torrent Pharma, and stop loss for Torrent Pharma has to be maintained at 1718 for the target of 1889.
The first buy recommendation is on L&T Finance. One can buy L&T Finance for a target of 185.50 with a stop loss of 179. The second buy recommendation is on Persistent. One can buy Persistent for a target of 897 with a stop loss of 848. The third buy recommendation is on Raymond. One can buy Raymond for a target of 820 with a stop loss of 773. And a final buy recommendation is on Glenmark. One can buy Glenmark for a target of 624 with a stop loss of 583.